Chapter 9, Part 2. He was in the yard when I arrived, but there were 3 other boys I didn't know. When I saw them, I pretended I was only passing by, but Tomo caught sight of me and ran out of the lane. "Keoko, look! See what my father brought me." He displayed his new toy, a beautiful model airplane made of wood and sturdy paper. It's a flying dragon, exactly like the one flown by the Imperial pilots. He ran in a circle, holding the plane over his head. "Yak, yak, 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 yak," he shouted. The dragon swoops over Pearl Harbor. He finds his target. He fires. It's a direct hit. The enemy plane crashes. Smoke and flames everywhere. The nimble dragon escapes. I felt a little bashful with those boys around me, but I didn't want to look at the plane. "Can I see it again, Tomo?" I asked. He came to stop me before and held the plane out. "You can hold it," he said generously. "Hey," one of the boys protested, "you wouldn't let any of us even touch it." Tomo looked at him with disdain. "You might be too rough with it. Keoko will be careful." I was pleased that he trusted me, but his words also made me anxious. I held the plane for only a few moments, admiring the glossy paper of its wings and the propellers that really spun. Then I gave it back to him, thinking how much Tayul would have liked the plane like this. He loved mechanical things. "The Imperial forces have huge fleets of these planes," Tomo said excitedly. "The Americans don't stand a chance. That. He began running around again with his plane held high. "Kill them! Kill the Americans!" another voice shouted. "Kill the Americans!" the others took up the chants. "Kill the Americans! Kill the Americans!" "All of them!" shouted the first boy. "Even the babies?" I said. The words slipped out before I could stop them. The boy stopped chanting and stared at me. Tomo slowed down and zoomed his plane over me. "Keoko, don't you remember the movie?" he said. "We'd been shown a short film in our classrooms a few weeks earlier." Onishai-san had gone from room to room with the movie projector till all the students had seen the film. None of us had ever seen the movie before. The teacher helped Onishai-san hang a sheet on the wall, then instructed me as class leader to choose a few girls to help me cover the windows with heavy pieces of paper. The classroom looked different darkened like that, almost scary. Then Onishai-san turned on the projector, and suddenly there was a picture on the sheet. A picture so bright it almost blinded me. When my eyes stopped hurting a few seconds later, I saw the people in the picture were moving. You could even tell they were talking, their lips moving quickly. They looked so real it was hard to believe that I'd touched them, and I would have only been touching a cloth. Everyone gasped and murmured in surprise. Then Onishai-san started talking. The film, he said, was to teach us what Americans were like. The pictures were of white people, usually riding horses and wearing big white hats, shooting and killing other people. Onishai-san told us that Americans hated all people with black hair and killed even the women and babies of their enemies just to amuse themselves. At the time, I barely heard him. It hadn't mattered what the movie was about. The moving pictures themselves were what fascinated me. The rest of that day and for days afterwards, those flicking images kept returning to my mind, almost like a dream. Now, Onishai-san's word came back to me. It was true that all the people being shot at in the film had long black hair. But I'd heard Uncle and Abjui talk about America. I hadn't understood everything they said, but I knew that America was a very large country, and there were things about it that they both admired. Education, I remember Abjui saying, and Uncle talking about freedom. I couldn't believe that Abjui and Uncle would admire people who would kill babies for fun. The boys were still staring at me, and I felt my face growing red. The movie. I mumbled just to say something. Anything. "Yes," one of the other boys said. "If the Americans have had the chance, they'd kill all of us because we have black hair. We have to kill them first." Tomo glanced at me quickly and then at his friends. "Yes, but we won't need to kill any babies," he said. "We will kill all their soldiers, bomb their cities. They'll surrender like dogs." And he zoomed his plane over their heads. At. Tomo ran up the lane with his friends following him. I waited for a moment, hoping he'd look back, but he kept going. I turned the other way and walked home, feeling confused and a little sad. I was glad that Tomo didn't want to kill babies. Still, he and his friends all seemed to think that playing at killing was fun. Was it because they were boys? Even the talk about killing had made my stomach feel cold.